Ancient Egyptian papyrus describes a massive UFO encounter from the past. Many depictions of flying crafts have been found across the globe, characterized in different ways. Some were beaked appearances, others had the round or spherical shape that is also known today. Some were red and resembled a circle of fire while others were yellow and spit fire. Scientists may contradict these depictions, considering the ancient Earth dwellers primitive and with an inadequate way of thinking, relating sightings such as these with too much enthusiasm, therefore altering the actual reality. However, the ancient Egyptians are renowned for their advanced understanding and techniques, also for their knowledge over astronomy which was very advanced for that time. An interesting evidence concerning the UFO encounters of the past is the Tulli Papyrus, an ancient text telling of great flying machineries that spit fire and scouted the Egyptian sky before they vanished into outer space. Researchers have denied its authenticity and meaning because this ancient document would otherwise change our current history as we know it, or at least add an impressive fact about otherworldly beings. The event was witnessed by an Egyptian pharaoh, Thutmose III, who afterwards ordered his scribes to write about this event in the annals of life so that it be remembered for all time forward. The strange occurrence happened around 1480 BC, and had the entire Egyptian army witness it. Here is the translated text from the mysterious papyrus. In the year 22, in the 3rd month of winter, in the 6th hour of the day, the scribes of House of Life noticed a circle of fire that was coming from the sky. From the mouth it emitted a foul breath. It had no head. Its body was 1 rod long and 1 rod wide. It had no voice. And from that the hearts of the scribes became confused and they threw themselves down on their bellies. Then they reported the thing to the pharaoh. His Majesty ordered, and he was meditating on what had happened, that it was recorded in the scrolls of the House of Life. Some portions of the papyrus are erased or barely interpreted, but the majority of the text is accurate enough to let us understand what had happened during that mystical day. The rest of the text as it follows. Now after some days had passed, these things became more and more numerous in the skies. Their splendor exceeded that of the sun and extended to the limits of the 4 angles of the sky. High and wide in the sky was the position from which these fire circles came and went. The army of the pharaoh looked on with him in their midst. It was after supper. Then these fire circles ascended higher into the sky and they headed toward the south. Fish and birds then fell from the sky. A marvel never before known since the foundation of their land. And Pharaoh caused incense to be brought to make peace with earth, and what happened was ordered to be written in the annals of the House of Life so that it be remembered for all time forward. This document presents a very important day in human history, when UFOs made their presence noticed to thousands of people from the ancient Egypt, including their ruler. Even though the text doesn't mention anything about a ground or physical contact with the flying beings, it describes a unique encounter which ended mysteriously as fish and birds fell from the sky when the flying saucers left. The ancient Egyptians probably saw this as a divine wonder, a sign of great importance and at the same time great power over life and death. In present days, events like this are not a wonder anymore. That's why we believe the cause of death of the depicted animals occurred as a result of the flying saucers' emissions or maybe sonar waves. Whatever the case, we can interpret the strange deaths as a result of advanced alien technology, adding more credibility to the fact that there were indeed UFOs who visited ancient Egypt that day. Unfortunately, the original papyrus has been lost or is in hideout. Only copies remain. When researcher Samuel Rosenberg requested a chance to study the original document from the Vatican, he received the following answer. The papyrus Tulli not property of the Vatican Museum. Now it is dispersed and no more traceable. It is speculated that the Vatican holds some of the most valuable documents regarding the human history. If this is the case, it's understandable why they chose not to reveal this papyrus of great importance. Further attempts to study this paper have been made, but without success. An inquiry was sent to Dr. Walter Ramberg, scientist working for the U.S. Embassy in Rome, who replied. The current director of the Egyptian section of the Vatican Museum, Dr. Nali, said that Professor Tulli had left all his belongings to a brother of his who was a priest in the Lateran palace. Presumably the famous papyrus went to this priest. Unfortunately, the priest died also in the meantime, and his belongings were dispersed among heirs, who may have disposed of the papyrus as something of little value. It's unlikely that the Vatican let a document of such importance slip away from their hands, but, presuming it did, we can only hope that someone stumbles upon it in an antique shop like its previous owner, Alberto Tulli, did.